There are two main waivers for immigrants who are trying to go through the green card process. They're very cleverly called the I-601 and the I-601A waiver. So these waivers apply to very different circumstances, and I would like to explain the difference between the two. First, the I-601 waiver is the primary waiver that's been around for many years that applies to people that are either going through the green card process inside the United States or usually outside the United States at a consular office or an embassy. And the agent, through the interview process, says, we got a problem with your case, and you are not admissible or eligible for your green card because of health-related grounds, criminal grounds. This is very common here: immigration fraud or misrepresentation in your immigration process, or your history, membership in a totalitarian party, basically communism, alien smuggling, which is becoming more prevalent. If you have a 3 or 10-year bar due to a previous period of time of unlawful presence in the United States, this waiver is for you, okay? So it applies to people with those sorts of problems that had an interview in the United States or outside the United States. What is the cost of this sort of waiver? This waiver costs around $930 the last time I checked. That's the filing fee for the government to review and to make a decision on your request. That cost doesn't relate at all to any of the other parts of your immigration process. Now remember, people who get to the waiver are there because they're going through a green card process. To go through the green card process, there's filing fees for the first part of the process, which is the sponsorship. There's also filing fees for the National Visa Center and at the U.S. Embassy abroad. So there's lots of fees that apply to a green card process. The waiver fees, totally independent of those costs. So $930 after you pay everything else in order to file this sort of waiver request. Now, how long does it take to get a decision on this waiver? Well, currently the 601 waiver is taking about 2 years, 25 months for the government to process and make a decision on your request. So that could change, but that's a heck of a long time, okay? So it's important for people to plan ahead and be prepared for delays depending on which office has your waiver request. It could be more or less than 25 months, okay? So the 601A, also called the provisional waiver or the hardship waiver, applies only to people who have been inadmissible or inside the United States, and they need to get this waiver in order to be able to leave the country because they're going to be subject to the 10 or 3 or some bar for unlawful status. So the 601A waiver comes into play only for people who have to leave the country, okay? So you apply for this waiver because there is an extreme hardship that your sponsor, which is usually a spouse, a parent, they're going to suffer some extreme hardship if you are not allowed to return to the United States or if you are prevented from ever coming back and getting your green card. Now, this waiver, it's important that only certain family members, again, spouses or parents, can be your sponsor for this. So your children are not allowed to. So your children might be able to start the ball rolling and sponsor you for the green card, but they can't do the waiver for you. So only the parents or spouse can do that. And the parent or spouse can be a U.S. citizen or they can be legal permanent residents. So it just matters the relationship to you and the fact that they have legal status in the United States, and they are somebody who will suffer an extreme hardship if this isn't granted, okay? So what is the cost of the 601A waiver? Currently, it's about $715 for that request for the government to review that part of your process. Again, green card, biometrics, all that stuff doesn't matter when it comes to moving forward with this waiver request. So you have to pay more, okay? So what does it take as far as time to do this? Ridiculous amounts of time. So currently, it's been around 36 months. I'm not very good at math, but that's a really long time. So the government actually has been sued within the last 6 to 9 months for these massive delays in the waiver process. There's lots of lawsuits against this administration for so many different reasons, most of which relates to a lack of progress or the inability for the government to actually process legal requests for immigration. But this one is something that is getting a lot more press because it's taken 36 months to get a decision. So basically people, even though they're allowed to be in the United States while they're waiting, it's 36 months. So their lives are on hold because they can't move forward with the green card process. They can't get a work permit. They can't do all these things that normally you would expect somebody seeking a green card would be able to get because they need to get rid of this inadmissibility. So this is definitely a problem and one that the government is being forced to deal with in a very quick way. If it wasn't for this lawsuit, who knows how long it would take for this to filter through the immigration process. But the point is, it's now being accelerated. I haven't heard anything recently about the time frame for this, but it still takes people many years to get these approved. Hopefully, that's going to change very soon. These are very complicated processes. This is not a process designed for any regular immigrant or family member to do, okay? This is very much a legal related process. I have people call me saying, hey, I need help filling out the application because I'm filing for this. I'm like, no, you're not. This is not an application and a filing fee process. This is an application, filing fee, and a legal document process where somebody with expertise, a lawyer, an immigration attorney specializing in this area of law is who you want to seek help from because there's lots of pitfalls. You have to do things in a very precise way because you've got to provide evidence as well as a legal argument, the proper format for making this request. So it's not just a filing fee and an application like so many people believe it is. So I guess point is, give us a call. We do a lot of these. I've been fortunate enough to get more approvals than denials. They're not easy. The government loves denying these. You have to work very hard to convince the government of the need to the family member, U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident remaining in the United States, not to the immigrant. So very, very technical. Don't try to do it yourself. You're going to waste 36 months and a lot of money. Call us. We will get you taken care of, and we'll make sure that we get you an approval so you can move on with your life and live with your family in the United States with a green card, and you can prosper. Give us a call. We'd love to help you.